Alright guys, in this video I'm going to talk about the real reason people really choose the Philippines for a retirement destination. Stick around. Alright guys, so I thought I would talk a little bit about why people in reality choose the Philippines as a retirement destination or place to live. Now, I was just reading an article and Philippines came out as the number 8th place to work and live, and I think that article probably has more to do with younger expats, not the older generation, because it is about working and living. Number 1 ended up becoming Mexico. So anyway, I do meet occasionally. I meet foreigners, and it's like one of the first things they feel like they want to share with me is, you know, I'm different than a lot of guys here. I didn't come here to meet a woman. I came here just a slower pace of life, and you know, the usual stuff. And I think to myself, now some of those people obviously probably are telling the truth. I mean, me personally, I came out here for a job. There was not a woman involved at the time. Obviously, I've met great Filipinas, currently with my fiance, who is a great girl. But that is not the reason why I came out. And so some people do move out here not because of Filipinas. And for me, it comes down to 3 main reasons why guys choose the Philippines. And as much as many guys don't want to admit, Filipinas probably are the number 1 reason. They are willing to have a large age gap relationship. They are super friendly, and obviously a lot of them are very pretty. For us, they are very unique looking and different than what we're used to. And the fact that they speak English is a huge factor. And of course, that is one thing that attracts a lot of us to the Philippines, is the English factor. The third thing for most expats is the ease of the visa here. Most people can come out here and live on a tourist visa, and almost the entire time of their time residing in the Philippines, they can just be on a tourist visa. I've said it before, you arrive in the Philippines. As of currently, you get 30 days, and then you can extend all the way up to 3 years on a tourist visa, and then you would have to leave for about 24 hours, come back in, and the whole process starts over. And rarely do the agents, immigration, ever give you a hard time about coming back in and just redoing it, versus places like Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, where it is a bit more difficult to be going back and forth doing visa runs. Now, of course, there are ways around living in those countries too, but this video is not about that. And some of the things that I think people don't choose the Philippines for, I think they accept it. But for me, the food ranks pretty low as far as the rest of Southeast Asia. And of course, the English factor, like I said, is huge in the Philippines. But in other countries, you can survive. You know, I lived in Vietnam for 6 months, and I'd say 75% of the time, there's always somebody who could speak some English. Whether I went into a grocery store or a department store or somewhere, there was always somebody that they seemed to be able to call and say, hey, come over here, you know, and they were able to communicate in English to you. Of course, when you don't have a large amount of girls who can speak English, this shrinks the dating field way down. Places like Vietnam don't do as large of an age gap. So if you're a guy who's in his 60s and you want to date a 20-something-year-old girl, probably not going to happen in Vietnam. Does it happen? Sure, you could find a girl out in the province in Vietnam who was would be willing to do that, but not as likely as the Philippines, where it's almost commonplace to walk around in Dumaguete and see guys in their 60s and girls in their 20s. It's just nobody even blinks an eye about it. Thailand, I would say it's a much more open as well. Maybe Cambodia as well, but Malaysia probably not. So another thing is the cost of living. I really don't find the Philippines to be that inexpensive when in comparison to the other Southeast Asian countries. If you're truly comparing apples to apples with what you get, for example, like a condo of the same quality in Malaysia and the Philippines, or a condo in Thailand or Vietnam compared to the same quality, same level in the Philippines, those other countries are actually much, much cheaper. And you will find that for around $500 a month, you can get some just beautiful condos and places to live in those other countries. But here in the Philippines, $500, you can find some nice places. Don't get me wrong, you can get out and find some beautiful places for $500 a month. But if you're truly comparing apples to apples with what $500 a month would get you here, and $500 a month in Malaysia or Thailand or Vietnam, then you will discover quickly that you can get much more. Which again leads me back to Filipinas. The fact that they are super friendly, will do a large age gap, do speak English, even though you'll meet some girls, I'm sure a lot of guys have experienced this if you've talked to girls online, that their English can sometimes be very limited. You can find Filipinas who speak wonderful English, girls who have an education, or perhaps just have a love of American, British movies, or they like to read a lot, then of course their English is going to be better. Or ones that maybe went to university and then now they're working in like a call center. So of course you can find them. But you can also find that in Vietnam and Thailand as well. So if it came right down to it, and you take females, the Filipinas, out of the equation, I think more people would choose other countries, if I'm being honest with myself. Now I'll show that list, but Thailand and Malaysia make that list above the Philippines at the number 8 spot. Now, is this some kind of definitive list? No, it's just interviewing expats. Well, who knows how good these lists are, where they list out the top 8 and or the top 10, and Philippines comes in at 8, and how many people did they interview? I don't know. I don't know how they do it. So again, I would like to hear everybody's personal opinions on the matter, and how many of you who've traveled around. A lot of guys don't really have the ability to compare it because they've only maybe come out to the Philippines, that's where they landed, that's where they've stayed, and they haven't experienced anything else in Southeast Asia. So it is hard to speak on it when you really don't have any experience in it. But I still implore people to get out there and explore the rest of Southeast Asia. For a lot of people, including myself, I think it's the best of both worlds. Again, I've said this before, but I think for me, a Filipina is one of the best as far as Asian girls. I think they are probably some of the best girls to be with, and then to go live maybe in Thailand or Vietnam or Malaysia can be the best of both worlds, or just travel a lot. I did a video about living half-time here in the Philippines, maybe half-time in your home country, but there are other options. There's the option of living half-time in the Philippines and maybe half-time in Thailand or Vietnam. Now, Vietnam coming up in the middle of August is switching to a 90-day visa, multiple entry. So perhaps you could go live in Vietnam for 6 months out of the year, or you could go live in Thailand. There's ways around that as well. So by the way, it's just a Wednesday here in the Philippines, and I just finished going to the gym, and now I'm at the coffee shop, and then I'll go home, and then Maya and I are going to go grab sushi for lunch, and probably call it a day. Well, she'll go get her hair done. I'll call it a day. Anyway, this is where I would like to hear your thoughts and opinions on the matter. Let me know. I'm not trying to really compare and say one country is better than the other. I'm just saying, if we're realistically talking about it, what are the top reasons people choose the Philippines? I still think it's the women, number one. I think it is the visa situation and the fact they speak English. But if we look at other factors like food, infrastructure, things like that, I think more people honestly would choose other countries to live. So anyway, guys, if you are looking for a great Filipina, consider joining Christian Filipina by clicking the link down below. Or if you want a free website, check out Pina Love by clicking the link down below as well. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.